Great.
All right. So we got Kelsey Charles
Hey.
here. And Kelsey, thank you for joining me for a quick testimonial interview.
Yeah.
Uh, and so let's just jump right on into it. Uh,
Okay.
if you don't mind, just give the listeners a little bit of context about who you are, what you do.
All right. So I'm a real estate broker in Hawaii. Started in January 2019. So about 4 years of experience. I've done over 100 million in real estate transactions and over 150 deals. I have a partner and a real estate team with an operations manager, admin, and quite a few people who work hard in the background, but mostly it's just me and my partner, John, now.
So can you give us a little bit of your background or like your story around the pain points and the concerns and essentially the worries that inspired you and led you to working with me as your financial planner or financial advisor?
Yeah, totally. So I was talking to my bookkeeper. We were having meetings all the time about my books, and I was just like, okay, like we got the business stuff down. I think we're allocating things properly, but I just can't seem to figure out like, is this the right thing to do? Where should I be putting my money? Like, what do I live on? What do I put away? Like, I'm not sure what is mine and what is the company's, what should expenses be, and like what's reasonable. And she referred me to check out Ethan. And I think I talked to you, I scheduled a call with you and then stayed in touch until I was finally like ready to pull the trigger. It got painful enough where I was like, okay, I need help. I need to do this. But I talked to a couple other people as well. And then obviously like you were my favorite. And then I picked you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for the vote of confidence. Would you be willing to share a little bit about like your story and your relationship with money leading up to us working together? Because
Yeah.
from my perspective, you were like great at making money, like crushing it at making money, great at
Yeah.
spending it too.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So it's like a blessing and a curse. And like when you make a lot of money and you spend it all, you're not really better off than anyone. And sometimes it seems like every time you make money, you're just digging yourself like a deeper hole into tax debt. If you're not setting the money aside because there's so many unexpected expenses as a new business owner. I mean, these are things you figure out like, okay, like I'll budget for this. But it seems like every time like you go to put money away for taxes, like there's a bill that could have your real estate license revoked or MLS dues, like stuff that's like super important to run your business. So you kind of always put that stuff first. It just makes sense. I mean, because you're kind of just like on a hamster wheel at that point trying to get through life. So um yeah, as far as my relationship with money, I didn't grow up with money. I wasn't very well off at all. We didn't always have food in the house. My mom went to food pantries with me, and I didn't know how to keep $5 in my wallet, right? So like if my mom had $5, like she was trying to find like a Chinese food restaurant where she could spend that like $5 and she just couldn't keep money. And it's a problem she has to this day. Sorry, mom, I love you. But it was just something that I wanted to break, like that generational issue. So that's why I wanted to make money and then also learn to keep it and get help with it.
And so what were there any specific realizations on this kind of income journey? Because like I hope that hopefully this isn't sharing too much. I'll cut it out if it is. But like
No, no, you can share.
you make as much income in a month as a lot of people will make in an entire year.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
that's true.
and
Sometimes.
so like as you've kind of went through these stages of your career and your like progression, are there any realizations that you came to about like the fact of making money or keeping it and really how different those two different tasks are?
Yeah, no, I thought as long as you made money, you're good. You can just live off your cash flow, which might be true if you're an employee or like in the military, something really stable where you're always getting paid the first and 15th, you have health insurance, spend whatever you want, even though it's not ideal, your retirement and your lifestyle is not going to be the best and it's going to be scary, but you're always going to be covered. That's not true when you're a business owner because there are so many ups and downs, so many expenses. And I didn't realize, like, as a business owner, how little of that you actually keep as far as like expenses and investing in clients and investing in people who will actually never transact with you, right? But that's just the name of the game. It's a numbers game. You gotta always be building relationships. So I thought if I made like, I think the most I made was like 175 grand in 1 month. I thought I would be set. I'm like, cool, like I can pay off all my debt. And I was selling a house that was a bad investment in Florida. So I had to wire 30K to close that. I had to write a big check to the IRS couple other things came up and it was gone within like a couple of weeks. And I don't have like a Louis Vuitton bag or anything. Like all my clothes are like pretty much used or like from Poshmark. So I'm like, where did this go? Like they should have had me set for like an entire year. And then you start to just get used to making that amount and not keeping it that. And then sometimes you're just like, wow, these people who make like 75, like 120 a year, like they're millionaires. Like, why am I not? And you start to like self-reflect, like, okay, what can I change? What can I do? And I'm a big fan of like hiring coaches for things for pain points. If you can't find like the people in your life to guide you, find someone that can and that sees it every day.
Yeah, so it sounds like, because when we met, the pain point was like, I'm making all this money, but I'm just not able to hold on to as much of it as I think I should. I'm not
Yeah.
creating that financial independence or freedom for my business that I crave, that the time freedom to spend with your family and kids, like that money gives you. But the solution wasn't necessarily make more money solution. There was different other areas like and holes in your plan that needed to probably be addressed.
Right. And my solution was always just make more money and you'll figure it out. And I realized like that is really not helpful. If you cannot hold $5, if you can't manage 40 grand, you can't manage 700,000 or a million if you make it.
Classic growing pains of a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's champagne problems for sure, but it's
Yeah.
still stressful. Like it's hard to deal with. A lot of people think like my job is super easy. Like they see a commission and they think like, wow, you must just, cash like a 30K check every week. And like, it's just really not like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very real realization, and it doesn't matter what level of income or, economic, um, like class you fall into.
Right.
When you don't have money or money problems happen, it's still just as painful. It still hurts
Yeah.
just as much.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you
Sorry.
did say that like you interviewed a couple of advisors, you were looking around, and so there's a million people you can choose, right? Like there's tons of advisors out there. What do you think specifically led you to ultimately landing with me and my company?
Well, first it was a straight referral from someone that I trusted that I thought had good insights on me and my personality. And then talking to you, just like jiving with you and being in some of the same groups, like you understand like funnel sales and you're always trying to be better, all these things that like I am too. And that wasn't the other financial advisors. Like I went to like a super stuffy office and like bless his heart, but I'm like, that's not like I'm not his ideal client. And I think like the match makes sense. There aren't a lot of I don't know any other financial advisors like our age, right? I mean, there's a bunch of people that are older for sure, but like you seem genuine, you seem to like understand my predicament instead of like just judging me. And when I talked to this other dude, I was like, yeah, like I need help with these things. He's like, well, I'm not going to hold your hand. And I was like, damn, like, what do you want? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm asking for help, like financially. And he's like, I'll take your money, manage it, make you a return. And I was looking for something a little bit more than that.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, let me hold your hand and guide you through the whole process. And if you want us
Yeah,
to
no,
manage your
me
money, we
too.
can. But like that's like I need to
Yes.
hold you through the process.
Yeah, totally. And like I need that. And I hold people's hands through real estate transactions all the time. And like that's my value. Like if I just do it for them and they don't know what's going on, I mean, like sure, that's valuable to take that off their plate, but do they really learn anything? I mean, I like to educate as well.
Absolutely. So there's so much power in knowledge and profit in knowledge.
Absolutely, for sure.
Uh, so I think our relationship is still blooming and maturing and blossoming, and there's a lot of good stuff to come. But
Yeah.
up until now, has there been anything specific about going through the process and working with me that has been the thing that's like stands out in value add or has been the most helpful for you?
Yeah, so you basically manage like our bookkeeper, our accountant, my husband, who's probably not super easy to work with, but he really nerds out on this stuff. And I see you kind of just like keeping everyone in check and keeping tabs on that. And that's something I wouldn't understand to do or have any interest in doing. I'm just like, oh, why wouldn't they just know? But they don't. And the fact that you orchestrate all of that behind the scenes, like I can tell you put in a lot of work, and that's really useful and helpful to our whole family.
Good.
Yeah.
Um, what what do you think has shifted for you with how you deal with money, like your process? And it's still shifting, but so far, like what do you think's been the biggest change that you've gone through?
So I think the biggest change is realizing that it is important to have a budget or like some allocation of your spending, no matter what you make. Otherwise, it's going to be like always playing catch up, right? Not maxing out the credit cards just because you know you're going to get paid again one day, making sure the IRS is happy with you, managing an accountant and paying your taxes and all that stuff, and making more money, like ultimately not being the answer.
Very cool. So if someone was like on the fence, they're like, maybe I want to hire a planner, maybe I want to hire Ethan, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
What would be your words of wisdom or guidance to someone in that position?
So I actually tell people all the time about you and to hire you. And I think anyone, with a reasonable amount of income, like would be crazy not to. And the reason that you should hire a financial advisor is so you can kind of see the holes in your program, right? Like I know a lot of people that think they'll be financially independent. They're doing like different plans, but it's always good to have reassurance. Like, let's look this through. Like, will you be able to retire at this age, right? And the same reason I think people should hire realtors, and especially good ones, like the best ones, so they can see what they can't see. And you specifically, I think, honestly, a big part of it's like a generational thing, and just like your personality, the way you show up on social media. I feel like I really like also know you as a person, and you're not just like a financial nerd. Like you're also like living your life. You want to be happy, and there's like a purpose behind it, right? So that's what I appreciate about you. And I think anyone, that'd be a good fit for would be anyone that I know.
Cool. So any words of wisdom that you would want to pass on to your younger self or share with someone you truly care about when it comes to personal finances, money management, and really building the your life dream and the financial component that comes along with it?
Yeah, I would say figure that out first or start learning and making yourself aware of it first. Like being an entrepreneur is great. If that's a goal of yours, figure out the money side before you dive into just building a business.
Jim, get proactive instead of reactive, which is what I always want to
Exactly.
share.
Yeah, for
Very
sure.
cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing this with whoever's watching out there. Hopefully, they found it valuable and they got some insight into the process and the value, and can hear it from somebody who's already been through the process. So,
Yeah.
Kelsey, thank you for taking the time. I
Yes,
truly do appreciate it.
of
Um,
course.
Disclaimer out there for anybody watching this: there's been no cash or non-cash compensation provided for this testimonial. Kelsey's doing this because she believes in the process and working with me, and it's been beneficial, and so she's just doing this out of the goodness of her heart. She's sacrificing her valuable time and energy so others can get inspired and kind of get on the right track financially.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy to. Thanks for having me. I mean, it's an honor to do a testimonial for you. I'm a big fan, and anyone watching, if you're on the fence, definitely book a call, talk to Ethan, give it some time because I think there's no way that you'll regret it.
So